Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, all students. So,
Oh, yeah, good morning.
good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. So, today we are having MLA speaker with us, Madhusudana Visnu Das. So, sir completed his BTech with in 2011, and he has a great break in the industry at TCS also. Sir also has the passion of teaching, followed with his depth studies in Bhakti Shastri at Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education, followed by teaching the training institute also. Then we can have the introduction of the sir. Like sir is also just a minute. Sir is also work as a teacher, author in Bhakti Yoga, educator, and life coach. He has reached out to over 12,500 students from across 20 countries through online courses in the last 2 years. He is the academic head of an alternative education school, RGHS, that is Clustered Homeschooling. Okay, so today's session is very great session, that is regarding the mindfulness, a life tool. So I am requesting all students to turn on their video. Yes, students, turn on your videos. It will be more interactive and interesting session. Okay, whatever queries you will be having, you can type in the chat box. Okay, and you can ask also. Okay, sir, over to you. You can continue. Thank you.
Sir, mute off.
So you have been muted.
I'm sorry. So thank you, Diwali ma'am, for the nice introduction and warm welcome. Very happy to be here with all of you, the students of Elat Tiwari College. I am assuming that you are from second year and third year batch. As Dipali ma'am said, we are going to discuss about mind. We'll look at this topic in two sessions, one today and the other will be on the next week, same day, same time. Because you are new to me and I'm new to you, it will take some time for us to know each other better in terms of how to go ahead with this topic. I don't want it to be just presentation from my end without your participation. The best would be if you also participate in the session by giving out answers. We will also have group discussions, maybe in the next session, breakout rooms and discussions. So I request all of you to participate in it. What we are going to offer to you is something very popular in the modern times. It's a life tool called mindfulness. And it's not only related to spirituality, it is something which is beneficial even in one's material life, in pursuing material goals. Before I dive into the topic, let me ask you one question. Am I clearly audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You are.
Are you all comfortable with English or you want to make it English plus Hindi?
Comfortable.
Both will do, sir.
Table, sir.
Comfortable with English.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Both are
Thank
both.
you. So now another thing, if possible, keep your videos on. It's nice for me to look at the student's face when I'm speaking, so that I know how much are you blank and how much you understand. The topic which I have chosen for today is making my mind my best friend. Making my mind my best friend. And we have many things to discuss in this. Let me share the presentation, which will help a lot to know this topic better. Are you able to see the presentation? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yeah, now
Yeah, now you're able to see.
Now presenting.
So when we talk about mind, you see, before we know how to make our mind our best friend, we also have to spend some time knowing what is mind. Some people say, doesn't matter. What is mind? Don't mind. Don't bother about mind. Leave it alone, right? But if I have to do anything like mind control, mindfulness, peaceful life, right? A calm and composed self person. It all relates to how and what quality of mind I have. What is the quality of my mind and how do I deal with my mind? That's why the topic of mind is important for all, not just for scientists, not just for psychologists, right? It's for all. So, what is mind? Some people will say mind is the brain. So the first thing for us to understand is mind is not the brain. Hmm? It is not the brain. Brain is the hardware and mind is the software. Brain is the hardware, mind is the software. So as we discuss about it, you will come to know better. But before, let me ask you one question. You can either reply by putting the answer in the chat box, or you can raise your hand to and try to give the answer. What do you think? Is mind spiritual or is mind material? Yes, I'm not able to see the names. Okay. Pathak Adarsh Manoj.
the mind is the spiritual.
Okay. And Kanojia Abhishek.
Mind is spiritual.
Spiritual. Okay. So can we do a poll here? Can someone set up a poll for me where we have two options? Is mind spiritual or is mind material? And let's see how many of you say it is spiritual, how many of you say it's material. Can someone set up the poll in the background and release it for the students to feed their answer to that? Is mind spiritual or is mind material? So in chat box, we are getting answers. Some say it's both, some say none, some say it's material cannot exist without spiritual. Is there anyone doing the poll in the background? Is someone helping us with the poll?
Only host can do.
Only hosts can do. There's no
Yeah.
co-host here.
Okay, so what will the questions? I have to type.
Is mind material? And the second is mind spiritual?
Okay.
It is subjective, someone said. Okay. How do you define spiritual in this context? All right. You will get the answer when we discuss about it. What is spiritual and what is material? What is matter? What is spirit? But the question is pretty clear. Is mind spiritual or material? So some of you say none, some of you say both, some of you say depends on the context. So the poll has been launched. How do we see the result of that poll?
Uh, sir, activities are there. So click on that
Okay.
activities. Their polls are there.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Dipali ma'am.
Sir, you can also create that poll.
Yeah, I understand now. I
Okay,
know
okay.
now. Yeah,
Check it.
thank you. Okay, so we are getting votes now. And let this go on. People, I request all of you to kindly vote for either of those options. And so you see now, different people have a different understanding. Uh, they sometimes think mind is spiritual, sometimes they think it's material, sometimes they think mind is the brain, right? There is no difference between the body and the mind or the mind and the soul. To help you a bit to understand, we should know in our present situation, we are a combination of two things. One is matter and the other is spirit. Matter is something which you study in physics and biology and chemistry. Hmm? But then there is something known as spirit, which is not matter, which is different from matter. And scientists, they call it as antimatter. Antimatter, which is opposite to matter, doesn't have the qualities of matter. Okay, so material qualities means it is limited by material time and space. Material time and space. And spiritual means it is not limited by material time and space. Okay, this is something to help you. We're getting now some more votes we have received. Only 49 people out of 250 people present, only 49 have voted. Please, the rest, take out your time to send out your vote, either for material or for spiritual. We'll come to that as later. Now let's move to the next slide till then. Here we have an illustration of, let's say, a person. This is the external body. The external body is something which we study in biology, as I said. So this body is also a covering to an internal body that is called subtle body. And then there is another subtle level of existence which we have, which is very, very subtle. So there are three levels of existence or three levels of identity for any person. Okay? The three levels of identity for any person. This all may sound a bit boring to you initially, but I, I promise you that once you understand these things, the further part which is coming will be very, very interesting to you. So there are three levels of identity to each one of us: the external, the internal and subtle, and then there is a third one, which is the internal and spiritual. So the external identity which we all see is called the gross body. The gross body, and it is made up of blood, flesh, bones, etc. Or the principal elements are five principal elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. This is what we see. Like when I say turn on your camera and I see your face, I see your physical structure. This is what I see, and this is what you all are seeing for me also, right? Most of the people, they are stuck up at identifying people on the basis of this external identity only. They just look at your face and they try to judge or evaluate who you are. But this is a very faulty way of identifying someone, isn't it? Because you cannot know anyone just by looking at the face. A person may be very good looking, but that person may have a very bad character also. Possible, right? So the external thing is not that really tells us about that person. Now there is another identity which is more internal, and it's called the subtle body. And this subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. I hope you have heard the word ego, right? Ego. So this is false ego. So intelligence, mind, and false ego. This is something very subtle inside you. We all have that. We cannot deny that. Can we see that? Can we see any of these three things physically? We cannot
No,
see
sir.
any of these things physically, right? But we know they exist. We know they exist. And then you have a third level of existence, which is our very deep or core identity, and that is called Atma or spirit soul. Atma basically means the self, the real self, the real me. And that's the most deep identity, deepest aspect of my existence. And this is made up of three elements, but not material elements, spiritual elements. And these spiritual elements are eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Okay. Now, when you understand this diagram, from this diagram, now please tell me, is mind material or is mind spiritual? Where does it belong? Does it belong to matter or does it belong to spirit?
Subtle body.
It belongs to the body, right? It belongs to the subtle body. And what is subtle body? Subtle body is material. It is subtle, but it is material. Having understood that, what it means is now I know just to know about mind is not to be spiritual person. Mind is a tool. Just like my body is a machine, it's a tool in my hand. Similarly, mind is also a tool in my hand, which I have to learn to use. Spiritual means that's my identity. But here, material means it's a medium. It's a via medium between two things. Between the mind and the external world. Mind is acting as a channel of communication between your true identity and the external world. Through the agency of the mind, we experience. It's the mind which makes us experience. Okay. Now, a quick question. If I change the quality of my mind, will it help me change my experiences? Because it is the channel, it is the filter. If I change the quality of my mind, will it help me change my experiences?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably yes.
Yes. So that's why people, instead of always trying to change the external situations, which is not always changeable, they're trying to change the state of their mind. We'll come to that more and as we're discussing these sessions that are coming. All these sessions are going to be interconnected. We'll be discussing some aspects in one and then it will unfold more in the next one, like that. So now we know what is mind. Mind is a material medium between the gross body and the Atma to help us experience the external world. It is not spiritual, it is material, it is a tool that one has to learn how to use. Going to the next one, which is what is its nature? Now I know it is something material. So what is its nature? Hmm? How does mind function? Okay. So before we do that, let me show you an interesting video. I'll show you this YouTube video. If you are able to hear the sound of the video, do let me know. Okay. Okay, so you saw these monkeys. Now, when you
Yes,
look at
sir.
those monkeys and their activities, what one word comes to your mind?
They try different things.
They try different things. What else?
Curiosity.
Mischievous.
Mischievous. What else? Curiosity.
Curiosity.
Mm. What else? That's all. Wow. Not stable. Very good. Doesn't have fixed nature. They're
Resilient.
risk taker, greed, spontaneous,
Ambitious.
ambitious. Okay.
Resilient.
Resilient. Okay.
Hungry.
Hungry. Not, yeah, most of the time they're hungry. Okay, so here the point that we wanted to make out is the monkey and the mind has many similarities. And one such similarity is just like the monkey is unstable, fickle, always changing, the mind is like that. And because of that, this becomes sometimes not a very, very positive point for us because it is unreliable. It says one thing at one time and denies the same thing, the same very thing at the other time. And then it leads to a chaos inside our system. You know, when we say I'm confused, many a times it's a confusion created by our own mind because it is trying to show you two different options and then it will say both are good, but I am not able to decide one amongst them. So sometimes it will say the first one is good and then sometimes you will say the second one is good. What it likes now, it doesn't like it again after some time. It's with people, it's with things, it's with situations, it's with experiences. So uncontrolled ramblings are experienced because of this mind. And the more you try to control the mind, you will experience that unreliable nature of the mind. This is something which is also expressed by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. I love Bhagavad Gita. I've read the whole Gita more than 14 times, back to back. And in Bhagavad Gita, we find many practical guidelines how to live our life to the best of its capacity. So Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, when he's discussing with Krishna about mind, he says about the nature of mind. How is the mind? He says, Chanchalam hi manaha Krishna. Chanchala word means it is very, very restless. It's not steady. It is not focused. You cannot put it on one thing at a time. You get easily distracted, right? Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramathi balavad dridam. Pramathi means it is mad. The mind is mad, which means sometimes it puts you into such dangerous situations. It takes you to wildest of thoughts, which are very, very bad for oneself. Pramati, mad. And balavat, it is very strong. And the last thing, dridam, it is obstinate. It's very difficult to have control on it, just like a monkey. A monkey is very obstinate, very obstinate. Tasyaham nigraham manye vayus ivasu dushkaram. So Arjuna says this is the nature of the mind. And that's why very difficult to control it, which is quite true. So many people have tried to do this, that let me have my mind come in my control, but they fail easily. Why so? Because the mind has been designed like that. However, there is definitely a chance to control it. That is called mindfulness, which we'll be discussing in coming some slides or maybe next time. So first, let us look at Arjuna. When Arjuna is making a statement like this, that the mind is uncontrollable or it's very difficult to control the mind, we should know that this is not an overstatement. It's not an overstatement, right? Looking at Arjuna's personality, his caliber, his skill set, his focus, it's not an overstatement. Arjuna is pretty much qualified person, right? You know this story. How many of you know the story of Arjuna being tested by Dronacharya? If he's seeing the eye of the bird. Anyone knows that story?
Yes.
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
someone would like to volunteer to tell that story, how it was. Let me see. We don't need all the details, but someone can volunteer to tell in brief. Now, so many hands are up. How do I identify these people? Okay. Sagathya, Chirag, yeah. Chirag, you can go ahead. Please unmute yourself. No? He's not interested to tell. Anyone else would like to tell? What happened? It seems all of you are very shy people. Or all of you are quite spaced out in the session. Either of those two. Third is maybe you are innocent. You don't know the story. But here, if you know the story, anyone would like to tell that story briefly? Okay, no problem. So the story is like this, that Dronacharya, he wanted to do a test of who is the most focused student. So he calls up all the Kauravas, all the Pandavas, makes them stand in a queue, right? He invites each one of them to come ahead one at a time, gives them the bow and the arrow, and then points to a bird in the tree and says, target the eye of the tree. Target the eye of the bird on the tree. So the student is ready with that, having the bow and the arrow and looking at the eye. So Dronacharya asks them this question first. Do you see the eye? Some of them say, no, no, master, no, teacher, I don't see the eye. The Kaurava lot, they were like this. I don't even see the eye. So Dronacharya says, okay, put down the bow, go back to your bench, useless student, right? And then Dronacharya calls the Pandavas one by one. So he calls Yudhishthira and he said, do you see the eye? Yudhishthira says, yes, I see the eye. Okay, very nice. Do you see the bird? Yudhishthira says, I also see the bird. Very good. Do you see the tree? Yes, I see the tree also. Right? Do you see me? Yes, I see you also, my dear teacher. So the students thought Yudhishthira has passed the test, but Dronacharya said, you also go back to the bench. Don't bother yourself. At the end, Dronacharya called Arjuna and he told Arjuna, pick up the bow, put the arrow, look at the bird, look at the eye. Do you see the eye? Arjuna says yes. And then Dronacharya asks the question, do you see the bird? Arjuna says no. Do you see anything else? I see nothing but the eye. And Dronacharya says, okay, so you are qualified to shoot. You shoot now. So the lesson in the story is Arjuna was so focused. Not like many of us who during the online class are always distracted by our WhatsApp messages, our Instagram messages, Facebook posts, notifications. And while the session is going on, you just keep on fidgeting with the mobile phone, answering the chats, right? Not like us. Arjuna was very focused. What he was doing, he was doing. But that Arjuna says, my mind is chanchal, restless, right? And I can control the wind, but for me, it's very difficult to control my mind. This is what he says. So this is the nature of the mind, basically, that it is restless. It doesn't stay on one thing at a time. It doesn't. It is possible to do that, but that needs some practice. That needs some practice. And that tool is to be learned by each one of us. So we discuss about this monkey, the monkey mind. And monkey is restless. Now in Sanskrit, there's a very beautiful shloka, a bit humorous also. A monkey is very restless. If that monkey has drunk alcohol, then what will be the situation of that monkey? It will be much more restless. And if, let's say, that drunk monkey is bitten by a scorpion, how will that monkey jump? That monkey will be mad. And then the fourth thing, if that drunk monkey who has been bitten by a scorpion is also haunted by a ghost, then you can imagine what will be the situation of that monkey. So the mind is almost like a monkey, but then because of some wrong habits that we take up in life or long lifestyle habits that we borrow from others, our monkey mind becomes almost like the mind of a drunk monkey or a monkey bitten by a scorpion or a monkey who is haunted by a ghost, which means it goes very, very crazy. It becomes very unstable. To us, it may seem, or to some of us, it may seem, what's wrong with that? That's totally fine. It's not very, risky thing, but it is. How? We'll come to know that when we look at the ill hazards of the mind. Before that, as per the psychologists, we have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day. This number keeps on changing. Some of them, they say 60, some of them say 40, some of them say 20. But even if we take the lowest count, 20,000 thoughts per day, it is still a huge number. It's not a small number, right? Now, what do you understand from this figure? We have one mind, 24 hours a day. It has so many thoughts coming and going. What will be the effect on the system that I have? If I don't know how to deal with these thoughts, will I not, by the end of the day, feel stressed out? It's just like if there is a road on which throughout the day only 2 cars pass by. That road is a very clean and peaceful road. But if you have on the same road on a daily basis 20,000 cars passing by, then you will have the experience of bad traffic. And with the bad traffic comes all the noise, all the chaos, all the hassle, right? It comes with that. Likewise, we have so many thoughts coming in our mind and they're all cluttered. And that makes us stressed out by the end of the day. We feel heaviness in us, and to release that happiness, then people take to different avenues. Either they go to smoke, or they go to taking drugs, or they drink, or they want unnecessary entertainment throughout the day because of this heaviness of mind. So how does the mind work? Basically, it's a reservoir of thoughts, reservoir of desires, experiences, and it is always churning those thoughts and desires, which means at every moment it's working. It's like an it's like a machine that is working inside you always. It never stops. We do stop sometimes from our physical work, we go to rest at night, we sleep, but the mind is something which goes on and on and on and on and on. How many of you dream quite often at night when you go to bed? Often you dream. You may see anything in your dream, but you dream. Yeah. So why we dream? Because the mind is active. Right? The physical body is sleeping. What is active is the mind. And the mind brings up things which you have experienced either in this present day or from the previous days. And it just adds up those things and brings up something. And we start seeing a movie inside our mind, in our dream. It doesn't stop unless we are in the state of deep sleep. In Sanskrit, it is called susupti, deep sleep. In that state, you don't have dreams. You don't get such dreams, and you can sleep very less period of time and still be very fresh. So the mind functions like this. This is how it works. We'll do a quick exercise now. Here, do you see a picture? This picture is of either some ocean or sea. The waves are coming. Will these waves only come or will they go also?
They will go also.
They will go also. And how many waves will come in one day?
Innumerable.
Innumerable. So we can compare these waves to what? Thoughts. Okay? Thoughts, they will come like waves and they'll go. Like at present moment, you must be thinking something. But after few moments, you'll not be thinking about it. You'll be thinking about something else. And then again, that thought may come back to you again. Isn't it? So it comes and goes, it comes and goes. And it hits the shore of what? It hits the shore of our mind. It comes and goes. So now we started this talk at 11:40, which is now 27 minutes have passed. Okay. I give you this exercise for 30 seconds. Take a break and try to track. Do this. It will help you a lot. Please. We are not doing childish things here. These are very important tools which can help you function better. So what I want you to do is, in these 27 minutes, during the time we spent in this presentation, try to track where all your mind went, to which all thoughts, to which all people, to which all things, which all activities in these last 27 minutes. Track them out. In your mind or in your internal system, you should be able to make a flow, a path in which there is a flow of thought. Oh, it started from here, and from this thought I went to that thought, and from that thought it came to this thought. So it should be something like a tree with so many branches, with sub branches, something like that. So try to do that. I give you 30 seconds, or you can even take 1 minute. Try to observe your own mind and trace out what all thoughts came in these last 27 minutes to 30 minutes. Are you able to do that, or you're not able to do that also? If you're not able to do that also, that means we have very less control over our internal system.
Yes, sir. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, it is possible. Impossible.
Possible, but
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's very
difficult.
difficult to have control of mindset.
So we are not talking about controlling the mind. We are talking about just
Even I
tracing
think
out the thoughts.
it's not possible
Just
with 20, past
yeah.
27 minutes.
We are not talking about controlling here. We are just talking about tracing out the thoughts.
Yeah, sir.
Tracing out.
Tracing is also very
We
difficult
can
for us, sir.
trace, but not the whole things we had.
Yeah, can trace, right? But not the whole thing. Means it's difficult. Like you go to a thought and then you begin to identify the cause of that thought. You may come to know. Then you may be able to come to know a background. But then suddenly you will see, oh, this is a full stop, now dead end. But I started this thought with some other thought. What was that thought? We cannot do that. You know why? Because we have not practiced controlling the mind. For someone who has control over mind, that person can trace out all the thoughts very easily, very easily. They can trace out the thoughts, because they are conscious of what is coming in and what is going out. Okay. At present, we find it difficult, very, very difficult. But at least one thing you all can say, you cannot tell me which thoughts came, but you all can agree with me that many thoughts came, right? Many thoughts came and many thoughts went away. And those thoughts were either related to this presentation, or those thoughts were related to something else happening in the college, or something happening at your home, something happening to your friend, something happening to someone else in the world. Right? It just goes everywhere. Huh? And what do we call that mind? It's a technical term. It will help you later. So please note it down. It is called a scattered mind. What is it called?
Scattered mind.
क्या हुआ?
Scattered mind. A mind which is scattered everywhere. In Gita, Lord Krishna calls it multi-branched. Multi-branchment is just everywhere. It's not on one thing. So this is how the nature is. There is retirement from job, from business, of course, from studies, for which you all and I also was happy sometime in my life. No more studies. So there's retirement of studies, there's retirement of job, from business, but there's no retirement from this fellow called mind. Now, how does it affect us? I'll try to show you. You see, in general, all of us, we heavily depend on our mind. We depend a lot on our mind. In fact, we depend on our mind more than our intelligence, which is not very healthy, but we do that. So we do that. So when we depend too much on our mind and the mind is not in good state, then we become a victim of our own mind, which means our mind will make us do things which are not good for us. Which are not good for us, because the mind is not our friend yet. And later on we realize the mind is very clever. I'll give you some examples in society how people become a victim of mind. This is one example, right? This is actually being a victim of the mind.
It's reality.
Reality. People, I don't know, so many things happen to them. Sometimes in India is a wonderful country. There are so many potholes with the lid open. So many people enter into those potholes because of being distracted with the mobile phone. They're just watching the mobile phone and they don't realize that just some steps ahead there is a hole and they fall into it. So this is one example. The example, crime. It's not that the person is bad always. It's just that the person was not able to take good decision at that particular moment. And that person ends up committing a crime. It's not that that person is a bad person. Maybe that person is quite a good person. But at the spur of the moment, loses control over one's own, system, and then does up something because of which that person has to then go to jail. Crime is because of not having a controlled mind. Then something very, very much happening now in India, drugs. I don't know how is it in Mumbai, but in North India, the whole North India belt, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, many youths are heavily addicted to drugs. which is a big problem. Some of people present here may think it's not bad, but drugs are very bad. It spoils your whole system. 2 weeks ago, one boy, he came to our temple and he was sitting on the ground floor staircase. I met him and he was very sad. So I asked him, "What's wrong with you? Everything okay in life?" He spoke for 10 minutes and then boy told me he has been taking drugs for last 8 years. And what is his situation now? In the morning when he wakes up, sometimes it takes him 4 hours to just come out of the bed. He is so weak and lost. His internal system is like you have a computer which has hanged. His internal system has become like that. He has a good business. He's married, recently married, good family. Everything is fine. But then because of taking drugs for such a long period of time, he has spoiled his own system. Why? Because when that opportunity came to start taking the drugs, he could not control his
Habitual.
mind. Could not control his mind and went into that. And when once he went into that, that became a habit. Stress. Major reason for stress is our mind is too much cluttered with thoughts. A lot of things coming in, disturbing us and going out, and we are not able to solve it. So much of stress, right? So much of stress. Too much of uncontrolled mind means people will spend a lot of time on unnecessary entertainment in order to relax oneself, right? So this has been scientifically proven. Anyone who watches too much of television, internet surfing, mobile games, movies, it's quite possible that that person is under stress. And to release that stress, that person is taking help of these crouches. It has nothing productive to do in life, so spending moments of life, valuable moments of life, in just watching certain things on screen. And then uncontrolled mind. Another thing which happens is suicide, divorce. These are statistics. In US, 50% of all marriages end in divorce. 41% of first marriages and 60% of second marriages. Then another thing which we see nowadays, again, very common, Facebook fever. So if you want to get cured of that, then there is Facebook tablet available in the market. There is a Facebook thermometer also to check how much Facebook fever you have, So sometimes these people do wonderful thing with cartoon. Huh? They make such funny things, but these are realities. 56% describe their Facebook use as compulsive. You know what is the meaning of the word compulsive? What is compulsive?
Compulsory.
Compulsive? Compulsory. Compulsive means basically you don't necessarily have to do it, right? But then it makes you think, oh, it is so important. If you don't do it, you'll miss a lot in life. So it becomes a compulsion. I must check my Facebook every day. Otherwise, I'll not exist, or the world will not exist. Means the mind will talk to you like that. Okay? So this is happening. And then overeating because of stress in life, uncontrolled mind. So these are some of the problems that people face if they don't have put efforts, sufficient efforts to control the mind. In one way or other, the mind will become powerful, more powerful than our intelligence, and start dominating our system. To many of us, it may not be that bad. Like these examples are pretty extreme examples. So for many of us, it may not be that bad. But then to some extent, it will be bad. The disease may not be that severe, but to some extent, the disease is there. Okay, now here, before I go to the next, for which we don't have time, Let me ask you just one quick question, then I'll take questions from you all. But your question should be on the topic we discussed today, not something outside and not something which we'll be discussing in future. So for any of, let's take a life example. Any person in this world can turn out to be my friend, and at the same time, that person can also turn out to be my enemy, isn't it? Any person,
Yeah.
right? Both possibilities are there.
Yes.
Can be
Yes,
either
sir.
a friend or an enemy, and sometimes we do see that best friends turn into best enemies, right, or worst
Yes,
enemies.
sir.
And sometimes, like, how many of you had this experience? Then in first year, you came across a person and you thought maybe this person I'll never talk. I mean, I don't really like this person. But then that person eventually happens to become a good friend of yours, isn't it? It happens, right? Initially, we think that this person, I am nothing to do with this person, you know. But then later on, you start liking that person. And also sometimes in the first year, you come across people whom you really gel in with, but then second year onwards, then you don't like those people anymore. So the same person can become a friend or enemy. Same thing can happen with the mind also. It can become our enemy, it can become our friend. Sometimes it can be our enemy, sometimes it can be our friend. Now, it depends on what? It depends on how I approach the mind. The mind in itself is not a conscious entity, it's not living, it's a tool. When it comes to a second person, you should know that person is a conscious being, so that person has the freedom to be your friend or enemy. But in case dealing with the mind is not conscious about that. The mind is going to react the way you approach it. So it's a tool. It's just like a knife. A knife in the hand of a surgeon is a very valuable tool, but the same knife in the hand of a thief causes much damage. So like that, the mind is a tool, and we have to learn how to make it a friend, not enemy. I'll end here. We'll continue further in the next class, which is next week, from here onwards. Uh, any questions from the topic that we discussed today related to that? Okay. Some of you have also given some comments, like one of you said, it's good for our mind to be chanchal like monkey at our age, as it allows us to explore our thoughts. Okay, is that a question or a comment? I think it's a question because you put a question mark, isn't it? Now, see, restlessness is different from uh, exploration. When you explore something, it's not that you are restless. Restless means it's out of your control. To explore means you have a plan and you work in that plan and then you explore. If I'm restless, then I may accidentally come across something nice. But if I explore, then there are more chances of me coming to the desired goal. To give an example, let me give you an example. I know that there is a city which is in the northern direction, but I don't exactly know how far it is from my place. But I know it is in the northern direction. So I will explore. Right? I'll explore and I'll try to reach to that place. But to be restless means what? Instead of going towards north direction, I'll walk towards east direction. Or I'll go towards south direction. That is restlessness. I don't have control over myself. So these two things are very different. Someone told me that I use Facebook, so I should delete it. No, I never said Facebook is bad. We only saw here examples of being addicted to Facebook is bad, right? We never said Facebook is bad. We never said Insta is bad, WhatsApp is bad. We gave an example that if you are controlled by those avenues, then it's bad, right? Now the question is, as you said, Facebook, I think many of us addicted to Instagram, which is wastage of time. You just scroll and scroll. So what is the cure? How to overcome? Yeah, I'm taking question from the chat box. Anyone has, you have a question? Who unmuted you? Who was that?
Hello, sir. Actually, I was going to ask you that it is really very difficult, I'm a little aggressive person, It is really very difficult to have control on mind. Not control, I can say, but, you know, uh, I get angry a lot. So, what is the
So
cure for that?
the cure is, let me ask you now. You get angry a lot. Have you
Yes,
any time have you ever tried to observe why do you get angry?
I don't know. I don't know, sir.
I'll tell you why
And
you
yes,
get angry.
sometimes it is like, uh, I don't know what, but I get angry, sir.
I'll tell you why you get angry. Okay, this can be one of the reasons, but why people get frequently angry, the reason is there can be two reasons. One thing is you have had some past bad experience, which has etched in your subtle system so badly that the frustration of that experience has become kind of a constant thing for you.
Yes, sir.
No.
It's true. Yes, it's true.
Okay.
Yeah,
So just like if someone has a bad stomach for a long time, then it leads to chronic stomach disease.
yeah, yeah,
Likewise, one can have chronic anger. And that chronic anger is because of some very bad experience in the past. Okay,
yeah, sir.
fine. Okay, so this is one case. Now, other case, I'll not go to that. I'll talk about the case which is very specific for you. So, in that case, I have to come out of that experience in my mind. Until unless I forget that experience, that anger will not go. Okay, Vikrant.
Yes, sir.
So, how will you forget that experience? You will have
Of overthinking
to,
of it.
first of all, you will have to know one thing, that that experience was temporary.
Yeah,
It came and it went away. Okay?
yeah,
The people who are involved in that experience also are what?
Temporary.
Temporary.
yes,
Fine? Even the people who are involved in that, if they are still present in your life now, they might have changed.
yeah. Maybe.
Maybe or may not be, right?
Yeah,
But there's possible they might have changed.
yeah, yeah.
Correct. So why should I then be so much bothered about that temporary experience?
So what if it is not related to people? It is something, a thing that is I want to do, but it is not happening.
Then what I should do is, if it is not happening, then you should try to look at many other factors. First of all, if it is not happening, have you properly studied and analyzed? Were your efforts sufficient to let that thing happen? First
I
thing.
think that yes, I did. I gave my 100%,
Okay.
but
Now, second thing, if still it has not happened, then you should just know that maybe that is not the best thing for you.
yeah, it might be not the best I've given.
No, it's not about you have not given the best. Maybe that thing itself is not the best for you,
Acha, yeah,
isn't it? Like we if we become too attached to our opinions, to our goals, to our ambitions, to temporary things, then when we don't meet those things, there will be a lot of frustration, and that frustration will lead to anger. The best thing
yes,
is to let it go, not to become a very passive person, or a person without any ambitions, but then you just change the area of your ambition. You just change the direction of your ambition.
yeah.
Or you let that thing come to you after some period of time. Because you see, we should know one thing, we have something to get, but then the nature has a system which makes arrangement for us to receive that thing. It's not that I want something I should get immediately, because it should also be in balance with the nature, the natural system. So the best practice is to have patience.
Patience. Yes. Yeah, I'll try.
And the other thing is, don't be just patient for that and spend your time in, waste your time. Meanwhile, use the time for doing something else which is important in life.
Yes.
So you'll not be frustrated because you will think, maybe I did not get that thing, but then I use my time in something else. Okay, it will help.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Now,
yes, but I have things to do, like it makes me happy. I have
uh,
that things, but still I get frustrated. I don't know why.
because you have not yet let that thing go away from your mind. You have to actually disconnect yourself from that thing. If you do that, you will immediately feel the relief. I promise you.
Yes, I will try.
Immediately you'll feel the relief. You have to just become a bit disconnected from that. Let it go.
Yes, sir.
And then you will see automatically your heart will be less heavy. You'll feel light inside. And when you feel light inside, you'll be joyful.
Okay, sir.
Anger
Thank you, sir.
means I'm not happy inside.
Yeah.
I might be smiling outside, but inside I'm not happy. That's anger, right? So then one has to work on that. And you didn't mention the specific situation. That's why I'm not able to give you a very specific solution, a particular solution, because it is a general question. Then I have to give a general answer. Okay. Someone is asking, do we have to destroy false ego? Well, no. Ego is a part of our identity. We don't destroy the ego. We purify the ego. We don't destroy the ego. We don't have to destroy any of these things, mind, intelligence, ego. Never, never. We purify it. Purify means what? It has gone to a negative zone now. We try to bring it to the positive zone. Destruction means what? You basically tell it's not needed. That is not how it is. It is needed. Like mind is a tool. I may misuse it or I may use it properly. So we don't have to deny the mind. We have to learn how to use it properly. Similarly, ego is a part of our identity. Ego means what? Identification, basically. So we have to then purify it, not destroy it. Okay, I'll take one more question then. How to deal with procrastination? Procrastination, how to deal with it? Simple thing. Every day, make a to do list, a planner, and then set priorities. What is most important for you? Hmm? And then you work on that. Without that, it will not help. It won't happen. You have to have a planner and you have to have the priorities set. I do it every day. I have hundreds of things to do in a day. I put them on a sheet of paper. And then I put priority one, priority two, priority three, priority four. And then I start working on it. Anyway, time management is a big thing. We will discuss more in detail in some other session. So we'll end here. All right, it's time now. Maybe you have some other sessions to do. Can we have a quick poll now? Like if I ask you, how did you find this session beneficial? So can you say in few options? Just give me 2 minutes of your time so that I come to know how much are you able to relate with the topic and the discussion. Okay. Okay. I have launched the poll and you can start answering. Okay, thank you so much. See you next week. And next week we'll be doing some exercises, so please be prepared for that. We'll do some breakout room exercises. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day
Thank
and
you,
a
sir.
wonderful week. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
हाँ दिया
Thank you, sir.
अभी टाइम लगे अप टू 24 आवर्स लगे एक्टिव होने मतलब अभी भी हो सकता है आधे दिन बाद भी हो सकता है
Thank you, sir. Yes, students, you can do.
अपॉइंटमेंट अभी करेंगे जैसे